Good morning. Hey, I'm Steve Weber. Welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. Today is show number 186. 186. Oh my gosh. It's June 8th. It's Tuesday. And welcome back or welcome to a new broadcast week. Welcome back from last week and the hot weekend here in Pennsylvania. So, alrighty. So today's going to be an abbreviated show. I'm just going to do a monologue, but I have Brandon Schaefer coming up in just a minute. And so I just wanted to give you a quick update on what's going to happen this week. I'll be doing broadcasts the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in addition to today. And do not have any guests scheduled, but I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes things. So I may or may not, I'll probably have some guests. I'm talking to people and just don't have that filled up yet. But I'm also doing a lot of behind the scenes things. So like today's broadcast, I'm going to just update you on some of the things I'm doing. And the monologue is going to be the Gumption website's update. So I'm just going to give you an update because it was really a year ago when I created the original vision for what the American Gumption and the Gumption website's idea was all about. And I've now had a chance to kind of rethink it and go, okay, some of it's working, or some of it's going to be perfectly fine. And some of it, we're going to put it on, future stuff and not even worry about it for the short term. So I'll explain all that. All righty. So today is Tuesday, and we all know what that means. It's our friend, Brandon Schaefer. Brandon Schaefer, simplebusinesshelp.com with some simple motivation. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm really fired up and ready to go.
I love to see the smile, man. Your smile is making me smile, so that's a great thing, man. But for today, man, just a simple motivation pickup here. I'm just talking to all the kind of people out there that may have an idea in their head that may be a small business. It may be a brick and mortar business. It may be an online business. One thing I always see is I just jotted down a couple words that always come to mind when I'm thinking of these types of people and businesses is fast, efficient, effective, inexpensive, excellent communication. These are all things that need to be done. You need to work quickly. You need to work efficiently. You need to work effectively and deliver a high quality product or service or anything that you're actually putting out there. And you need to do it for a reasonable cost, and that's the way we create competitive advantages for ourselves. Now, typically I come on here and speak about, the fireworks show of the rah-rah, but I want to just kind of get back to the basics of the core foundations for any type of success. And these things that I wrote down, fast, efficient, effective, inexpensive, and excellent communication, if you remove the inexpensive, they go across from personal relationships. If you respond to somebody quickly, if you show up, if you spend time with them, high quality time with them and not staring at your phone or on your computer while you're with them. These things all parlay both in a personal sense as well as a business sense. So everything that I talk about is like spaghetti. It kind of blends together. And in this case, for sure, again, we're not going to put inexpensive on a relationship by any means. So remove that word, but just focus on fast, efficient, effective, and communicating clearly. It all helps, Steve. So that's what I have for you today in terms of motivation. I hope you get something from that. And let's rock and roll, man.
And before you go, I usually give the commercial for Simple Business Help after we play the closing, but I want to do it today, and then I'll let you comment on it. But basically, what Simple Business Help is all about is if you have technology, which we all do, and you have different pieces of technology and you're having trouble getting them to connect together and talk to, I always say Brandon has a room full of geeks in the back room who know how to make all that stuff work. And but it's not just the technology, it's really the strategy. And that's probably the part that you bring to it. And then these other people you have in the back room who help make the technology actually work. So anyway, that's my impression of Simple Business Help. I've been to your website many times. I've seen it. I know what you're doing for people, but what else would you like to add?
I would just say our mission statement is to deliver fast, friendly, reliable, remote business help. That's it. Sometimes it's just talking to somebody that just needs a bit of confidence, or they need a reaffirmation as to what they're doing is correct. Sometimes it's like when I'm in a city and I'm lost, I'm looking at my phone and someone comes up and says, "Do you need help?" And I say, "Yes, I'm looking for the local Starbucks." And he or she says, "Oh my goodness, you're standing underneath of it. You're right here. It's right there. Just look to your left. It's right there." How many times have that happened in business where you're on the right spot, but you just don't know? You just need somebody to kind of give you that simple nudge in the proper direction. And I call it a nudge because it is so important just to have a sounding board or a peer group or an individual that you can bounce questions off of that's unbiased. And it's just going to give you the proper feedback. And I know we do that with ourselves, Steve. And I know you've bounced some stuff off of me. I've bounced some stuff off of you before. And, we just want the best for each other. And that's why I say that, anybody that's watching the show or that's going to watch the recording of this show, just reach out to someone like Steve, reach out to someone like myself. We're accessible. In fact, 99% of the people that I reach out to are accessible. It doesn't matter if you're the president of T-Mobile or whatever. These people are accessible, especially online. If you send them a message, so few people actually are sending an actual message that isn't spam or anything else like that. This is genuine. Hey, I love what you shared on this. I'd love to learn more. Can you spend, a minute or two with me? Most people will get back in touch with you or have an assistant get back in touch with you and say, "Hey, listen, they're just too busy," or yeah, sure, let's do this, But it has to be genuine and sincere. Just like everything you do, your show is genuine, sincere. That's the key is just be a human being, stop with the, just hope. I see so many people just constantly jabbing, in terms of outreach. And it's just if someone reaches out and asks me a question, I answer every single one of them, as long as it's a question,
Well, good. Well, thank you. And it's true because we have, we talk most weeks, so we'll just call it, we talk once a week, but we do it in this public forum. And there has been multiple times over the last year where we've both either you picked up the phone, I picked up the phone, just sent a quick message, here's what's happening. And I really do appreciate that. And so not only are you guy with good ideas and the ability to help people, but you've helped me, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. So go to simplebusinesshelp.com if you need some help. Right on. All right, Brandon. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
All right, Steve. Bye.
Wait a minute. That's the closing of the song.
That's the song, Steve. I'm going out to that one.
That's the first time guest theme. I need to do the close. Brandon, I need some help. I need somebody in the back functioning this thing to make it work. Otherwise, I keep making mistakes week after week.
I need help as well. Don't worry. Help me.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
All righty. Well, there's Brandon Schaefer, simplebusinesshelp.com. Check him out if you need some help with technology or you need some simple business help in terms of, your marketing, your sales, your strategy, just a way to get the ball rolling or the log jam broken. So Brandon can help you out. He's a great guy. All righty. So let's get back to the American Gumption Morning Show with our monologue. And the monologue again is I'm going to give you a Gumption website update. And it's a little premature in the sense that I don't have this all figured out, but basically I'm going to go ahead and share with you what it is that I have come up with in the last, the last month. I've been thinking about it, but really then I just said, hey, let's just make this happen. Let's just talk about it. So, let's see, I'll put myself in this, there we go. Let's put it that way. I think that's going to be big enough to see. So 1 year ago, I created it was, I don't remember the exact date, but I think it was in May. I created all these logos, and I had gone out and done a little temporary, in the RV trip with out in Washington and Oregon, and was the idea of American Gumption was brewing, but it hadn't really. And so then the RV trip became like kind of a little bit of a practice run. And when I got back from that, I realized that I needed to get more technology in place, just like the technology Brandon and I were talking about. That wasn't in place. I didn't have the foundation set to go with this. I still didn't even have the American Gumption website up and running. I just had a landing page, which I had launched back in July the year before that, 2019. And that was perfectly fine to kind of finish up the Montana thing and get me out on the, get me into this new idea and frame of mind. But now here I end up back in Pennsylvania, and then COVID hits, and then I went, oh my gosh, I got to do something. So I put together the idea that had been brewing for the last couple of years. And this is what it came down to in terms of these different ideas. So just from the, real quickly from the top, the American Gumption, and there was two different logos I had. I ended up using the second one, the clear one. It just looked cleaner. I had kind of put like the red, white, and blue background on it. Never really used that one. The member site was something I was working very diligently on, thinking that all this online content that I would create would be somewhere. And then Speaking Gump was my original brand, and Change by Gumption was a subcategory of the Speaking Gump thing. And then I had these other sites that I imagined: Technology Gumption, RV Gumption, Bench Gumption, Quantum Gumption, Global Gumption, and Classic Gumption. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to go through and talk just a little bit more about all of them in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to just sort of share what has happened since then. And here, I'll move myself so you can see this just a little bit better. I'll move myself into the, whoops, didn't want to do that. There we go. That way you can see this. I put myself in the smaller window and the slide share in the bigger one. But basically, so what has happened since I created that vision of those, these 9 different Gumption brands or sites that I had, with me imagining them all working together. So the first thing happened was I actually did launch the American Gumption website, and that took place in July of 2020. Alrighty, then the next thing that happened is I aligned with Spirituality Gone Wild. That happened really just a few days after the launch of the website, and then started broadcasting the American Gumption morning show with Spirituality Gone Wild in August 3rd, 2020. That was the first broadcast date. And I ended up broadcasting 100 shows in those first 5 months, so 20 shows a month. I was kind of on a mission. I just said, hey, I guess I kind of instinctively knew that I wasn't going anywhere in the short term. COVID had still locked everybody down. And I thought, I gotta just start broadcasting. And so I became like on a mission to like do a show every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And I ended up doing that roughly for the first, so I ended up doing exactly 100 shows by the end of the year in that first five months. I made a strategic decision at the beginning of 2021, at the beginning of this year, that I went, you know what, that 100 shows a month, 100 or 20 shows a month, 5 days a week, that's just a bit more of a grind than I can actually, keep up with. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do 100 shows every 6 months. And so that would put me at roughly 200 shows in the course of the year, rather than, 240. And so I thought, okay, that's 200 shows is plenty. So anyway, that's the pace that I've been on. And today is show number 186. So I'll get the show 200 by the end of at the end of June. All righty. So then I took a drive across America, and that happened in March and April. And that really became a reset. I'm putting here as a reset there. Didn't realize that that's what it was going to be, but probably towards the end of that drive, I realized that, oh my gosh, everything's kind of changing. I'm seeing the world differently now. And when I got back, I had no momentum from the past, those first 8 months. I kind of had a chance to completely stop, and the drive gave me that opportunity. And I went and I tested out like remote broadcasting from the road. And I experimented with ideas that I had in terms of what would it be like going out there and working from the road on a regular basis. And so I got to try some of those things. And then I got home and, again, that reset was taking place for the first few weeks. And I went back to doing a regular broadcast as I had been doing it, filling my schedule up with guests. But a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now, I really defined the show topics and said, I put down on paper, I wrote a blog post, I did a broadcast on it, and I said, these are the 7 or 8 pillars that the American Gumption Morning Show will stand on. And Gumption, it turns out, initially there were eight spokes in the wheel. And then I realized that spoke number 1 was really what Gumption is all about. And Gumption was one of those spokes, but Gumption became the center, and now there's 7 spokes around. So again, that's all. But I had envisioned it, and I had been broadcasting what they were all about, but I never actually defined it. So now that was written down. And then finally, I started updating my purpose, vision, mission, along with values, beliefs, and rules. And I've been talking about some of those things these last couple of weeks. And that was the original exercise I did back in 2014. Alrighty, so that kind of brings us up to date. Now, American Gumption. Now, I'm just going to go through pretty quickly what the original vision was 1 year ago. And in the case of American Gumption, I knew that American Gumption was going to be the heart of what I was going to be doing on a regular basis. And Speaking Gump had been my website. So I went ahead and changed kind of my main brand to American Gumption as opposed to Speaking Gump, changed my website or changed my email server to American Gumption as opposed to, the primary one being Speaking Gump. And so anyway, started to make all these changes. And again, this all happened 1 year ago in the spring. And so American Gumption became the centerpiece in terms of what I was going to be focusing on. I imagined a member site, and I worked quite a bit on it in the spring last year, what that would look like. Because I imagined I'd be creating all this content, which I've now done 186 shows that we're up to. So a lot of content being created. And I imagine it all being housed there. The reality is that it's just been stored. It's been broadcasting on Facebook, and I've been broadcasting on the YouTube channel. It's all there on the YouTube channel, but it's not organized in any one place like the members site at this point in time. That is still something that I expect to happen and will happen, but it just, as I started broadcasting, I realized I didn't have a clear enough vision of what that would be or that sort of thing. So anyway, we just moved along. All right, now let's see here. We're Speaking Gump. So Speaking Gump had been my brand since 2008, that website. And that had been my identity. And of course, the Forrest Gump and Speaking Gump, and the way that all of the Gumption, principles of Gumption, all of the life lessons from the movies, those are all on the 500 plus blog posts that are written there. And as I continued along my journey, I ended up adding Change by Gumption, and Change by Gumption became more of a sub brand underneath the Speaking Gump logo. So I imagine pulling that apart and making 2 separate websites. And the Change by Gumption would be more of the way that I work with organizations who are going through some kind of a major change initiative, and using the things that I had developed over the last 10 years, to help people, and using the Gump character to help with selling a change initiative within an organization. So that is what Change by Gumption was all about. Now, Technology Gumption was really about, at the time, it was more like a kind of I envisioned it being, the things I had learned in technology for the last 10 years, whether it be website development or marketing automation and some of the CRMs and all of that. But I didn't have a clearer vision of exactly what it would be. I just knew that technology was a piece of it. And technology is one of those topics. It's part of one of the spokes in there, because it's really becomes a communication tool, the way I see it today. So I'll continue with that. RV Gumption, that was really going to be about the fact that I'm out there living on the road. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a second, what I vision for that. Bench Gumption, that would be the conversations that I would have on the bench. And again, I I created this 1 year ago, not realizing we were going to be locked down, not realizing I was going to be doing a virtual show Monday through Friday, or at least 4 or 5 days a week. So there hasn't been conversations from the bench, but those will be forthcoming as we, as the country opens up. Quantum gumption, that I imagine really as the spiritual part of it, the science part of it, the fact that thoughts become things, the fact that we're all vibrational energy, and that vibrational energy turns into physical matter and things. And so that was the vision thinking of what quantum gumption was all about. Alrighty, global gumption, and I've shared this story several times. When I started American Gumption at kind of the last minute, and this is a year ago, I went, oh my gosh, maybe I'm too small. Maybe American Gumption's too small. Maybe I need to call this global gumption, because, the conversations that I've had are really coming to people, are people around the world. And so it's that spirit of freedom and independence that everybody wants. And so, is American Gumption too small and doesn't need to be global gumption? Well, for now, it's still American Gumption and probably will. And then the last one was classic rock gumption. And this was more kind of a fun thing, something that I had been thinking about for the last 7 or 8 years, when I would listen to the music that influenced me as a young teen and teenager growing up, and the kind of the messaging that came through that kind of forged into my brain in terms of what I think and what I believe. So the idea was that if I'm driving around the country, if I'm meeting different people, I wanted to meet DJs from classic rock stations and have them explain different songs to Forrest Gump. And so Gump is sitting on the bench, and these classic rock DJs will talk about a particular song, and all I got to do is sit there and be Gump and listen to it. And maybe we do a little bit of jiving and rocking and rolling with the music. So anyway, that was what the vision was. So I put that all together 1 year ago. Let me jump up to this one again. There we go. I put that all together, this group of brands, and thought somehow they're going to all support and interlink with each other. And really, I had the vision that I was going to be creating content under all of those different brands and different ideas. Alrighty, so that was what I was thinking then. Well, I already mentioned all the stuff that happened, right? I launched the actual American Gumption website. I defined what that was going to be to at least come out of the gate. And then I ended up starting the broadcast Monday through Friday, did the 100 shows in the first 5 months, on pace to do 100 shows for these next 6 months, and took the trip across. Feel like I've done this reset, and now going back and looking at the original beliefs, values, rules, mission, vision, purpose that I established several years ago, and feel it's time now to update it. But updating it with the knowledge of, well, what was that original vision that you're looking at right here, and what is the vision that I see going forward. Alrighty, so now let's go back a couple of slides. Here we are. So we're going to stop at this slide, and now I'll jump back to the smaller screen and let you see this just a little bit better. Right smack in the middle is the AmericanGumption.com. That becomes the centerpiece of it. And then I end up with 6 different websites around it, rather than those 9 or 8 other ones in addition to American Gumption. And the first one I'll show you is in the lower right corner, and that's the members. And that's where I see housing all of the broadcast. I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm listing that as future because I still don't have a clear vision on exactly what that looks like. However, I can say that, broadcast quality is 4K, and, with the big, large social sites that, have been censoring people, we need to figure out a way to broadcast so that I can say whatever I want without fear that, this whole thing isn't going to work. And I'm not going to be a flamethrower and conspiracy theorist, or, I want to be somebody who can speak to a larger audience, but I want to be able to be influential and share what I'm thinking without fear of crossing some kind of line and getting censored by someone else. So this is what the member site, or whatever that turns out to be, whatever that broadcast station might be, whether it's my own or whether it's with somebody else, that will be determined. All right. So now jump back up catty corner, up into the upper left corner, and we see the original speakinggump.com website. It's time for me to upgrade that or update that to talk about the message that I work with organizations who are doing live events, and it's time to be able to get back out there. It turned out that it didn't matter that it wasn't updated last year because nobody was going anywhere. However, people are opening up, and I've got a great message, and we're going to make that happen. And then the change by Gumption, which is on the left side there, right underneath Speaking Gump, change by Gumption really is that sub-brand that I had. I've already got the content there. It's basically the way that I work with organizations that are going through some kind of a change, a major internal change initiative, and need to get that sold. All right. Now, with that said, those are the 3 sites that I've already talked about from that original list. The member site in the lower corner is Speaking Gump, and then Change by Gumption. Now I got 3 new sites. These weren't even there before, and it's steveweber.net. I've got that domain, and that I'm just going to use as my bio page. And rather than have a bio page on all these, I'm just going to create a single site that becomes essentially the bio page, talks about the Gump years, talks about the different things that I've done, talks about some of the speaking stuff in terms of why I do the speaking that I do, and then let the Speaking Gump site just be that site dedicated to, speaking. And so I've got too much content on the Speaking Gump site now that I'm going to start breaking, the whole bio and the whole story part of, who Steve Weber is and what he was doing when he was with the Forrest Gump years and the pictures associated with all of that. All righty. So then on the right, so Change by Gumption, let's talk about that one more time. That becomes really more of a consulting project that I would work with an organization. That's something that could take, anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months. Now, working with individuals one-on-one, some kind of a coaching, I'm going to call that strategic gumption. And the closest thing I had to it before was the technology gumption. And really what it is using these kinds of visual maps to get clarity on what you want to do and what you want to, go for. When I talk to somebody, I have the ability to just instantly see it in pictures. And so I draw up these little maps and I say, is this what you're talking about? And then, we make a few changes and that sort of thing. So that'll be a coaching program that I'll be offering people going forward. Anybody who needs just a little bit of clarity on whether it's their own, their own personal vision or mission or some kind of a project, whether it be a technology project or some other kind of vision clarity. But one of the beautiful things that I have learned how to do and love to do is as people talk and tell a story, immediately my brain goes into mode of thinking about, okay, what's that centerpiece? What's the spokes? How do these spokes connect to each other? And I end up seeing things in pictures. And so I want to be able to offer that to certain types of people. All righty. And then the last site this isn't real easy to see, but it's Gumption Books down in the lower left-hand corner. So gumptionbooks.com. And this is the idea that I could co-author books with people. And you might think, well, Steve, who are you that you want to be able to co-author books with people? Well, I just think the Gumption brand lends itself to, creating some kind of a vision. And since I have so many different interests and topics of things that I want to learn about, I think it's pretty cool if I partner with different people who have expertise in something and we kind of bring the simpleness of Gumption in with it and we explain it. So, there's the dummies book, right? The, internet for dummies or technology for dummies or quantum physics for dummies, right? Well, I don't see it being that big of a brand, but I do see that there could be a book or two a year for the next 10 or 20 years if that all works. So again, that's a future thing, but that's part of the vision that I have. So short term, I'm going to essentially refocus the American Gumption page, update it so that it has the all of the morning show ideas and the other show visions, and then Speaking Gump will get updated just so it becomes really the how do I work for organizations that need a keynote speaker. And one of the important parts is that the skits. I see the skits as something that needs to be absolutely tied in with it. So if you want to hire me as a speaker, you're going to hire me also to do a skit. And I'm going to sit with the CEO or something. Gump is going to sit with the CEO, and we're going to have a conversation about whatever change you're going to go through and whatever your group, you want them to get the message and think differently about, that's going to be part of it. And then I'll also do a keynote for them. That is what I'm going to be offering in Speaking Gump. And I have crystal clear clarity of that. I flirted with that for the last 10 years, but didn't know how to say it quite that succinctly. All righty. And then the steveweber.net will become the, that'll just become kind of my bio page and have all of the Gump stories and all that other stuff. And then these other two, the consulting and the coaching sites. So these 4 sites, I intend to have launched in the next month or so. Certainly, some of them will be done within the next month, but some of them, we'll just we're going to aim for trying to get all of them launched in the next month. Well, let's leave it at that. All righty. And then these other ones, the gumptionbooks.com and the member site they will happen as time is necessary. Now, these are the original 4 sites. It's a little bit hard to see, but I'll just say the rvgumption.com, Bench Gumption, Global Gumption, Quantum Gumption, Technology Gumption, Classic Rock Gumption. All of those ideas are still going to be sitting out there, and they could either be books, or they could be co-authored books, or they could be they could be exactly what I envision them being, assuming I do find the RV partner that is still high on my priority list. The RV Gumption will play an important, role in that relationship. So, and the rest of them will just evolve as they see fit. So that's really it. That's the updated vision. I wanted to just share that. I'll be working on that the next month. And the goal is to have it launched in early July. And so I've already got a couple of shows I'm booked on to talk about it. So I don't have any choice but to make it all happen. And then we'll just close off by saying that here is the, that original map. And so I'll have to be creating a few new logos and other things. But I just wanted to share what the original, because I talked about this when I first started the show back in August. I went through all of the different ideas I had with it and explained what it was. But then the idea of doing a daily broadcast just took hold, and that became the primary focus, and getting guests and improving my skills in terms of being a broadcaster and communicator. And so all that stuff's been happening. And now we're at that reset time. And, once a year, I think most websites get updated. And so it's time for that to happen one more time with me. So that'll be the next couple of weeks, and look for in early July, you'll see, some of the fruits of this labor. All righty. That is, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, and we're going to close this show down. That's my monologue on the Gumption website's update. Hopefully it made sense. I don't know if it did or not, but I was practicing talking about it because I needed to practice talking about it. And one of the beautiful things about having a show is when you go out there and you when it comes time to broadcast, you kind of have no choice but to be ready to go. And so, these ideas aren't always completely flushed out. They're not always all of the T's and aren't crossed and all of the I's aren't dotted. But it's showtime. And so you end up, putting out the best vision of what you have with it. And but I do know that by early July, basically a month from right now, I need to have some new vision and new progress made, and that's all in development and all happening behind the scenes. So I just wanted to share that with you today because it was exciting, and that's what's on my mind, and that's why I didn't worry about filling up this week entirely with it. Now I've got people I'm talking to, and I'm going to have guests the next few weeks while this is all going on. But I'll also be doing maybe a little more of these monologues where I'm just talking about specific ideas that are behind the scenes. So you might expect kind of a blend of that the next month, the month of June. All righty. Well, that's it. Let's get out of here. I'll be live tomorrow. I don't know what to tell you other than I'll be here live tomorrow, and I'll be here live on Thursday, and I'll be here live on Friday. So have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.